Okay, if you don't know by now that I love to be outside, then you haven't been paying attention. On an incredible weekend like this, obviously, if I can make my video outside for you folks, I'm going to do that. And so here I am outside again. I am at our place in Canandaigua this weekend, and you can see, there's the canal right behind us, and actually the lake is about 75 yards away, over my shoulder this way, and our boat usually sits right there in the water, except this late in the year we have our boat put away, so that's okay. But so that's where I am. I'm enjoying this incredible weather, short sleeves, the last third of October outdoors. I have a run shirt on because it was a really nice morning for a nice long run, 13 miles, something like that. The water is as calm as it could possibly be back there. It's incredible. Anyway, that being said, your essays were incredible. I was so impressed with the fact that you people took the time to really understand what happened in young Goodman Brown. That man goes through so much in that story, and you took the time to really think about it and to really write about it. These were probably your best essays of the year, taken collectively and individually. For a lot of you, these were your best essays of the year. You really dove into what was going on inside young Goodman Brown. The fact that you had to decide whether or not it was a dream, you did a great job on that. And many of you said, does it really matter? And of course, does it really matter? The point is, that his life was shattered by this awful experience that he chose to undergo if it was real, but that he set himself up for if it was a dream. So, there are no concrete answers here, and that's why I asked you to tell what you thought and why the story doesn't answer that. We have to think about it, but of course that's what makes fiction great. When it gives us all the answers, then it's confusing. Something I want you to think about with Goodman Brown too is, and some of you brought this point up, I think he becomes the biggest hypocrite of them all in this story, because he has basically shut out everybody else in his life, almost, right? He sees faith almost, faith is no longer his symbol of faith, if she ever was, but he acts like she was right in the beginning. But at the end of the story, we see that he is followed to his grave by Faith and their children and grandchildren, okay? Now, a little bit earlier in the story, we had been told, a little bit earlier, that sometimes awakening during the night, he shrank from the bosom of Faith. So he still sees her as evil. That being said, following him to his grave are his children and his grandchildren, okay? Which means she was only evil when he looked at her that way, but when he didn't want to look at her that way, when his human side took over on him a little more, maybe she wasn't so evil, So everything about this guy says hypocrisy, and that's a big part of what Hawthorne is hitting upon in this story, is the whole concept of hypocrisy and how it permeated so much of their existence from his perspective, okay? If all of the people are supposed to be good and living this good life, and then, we have the Salem witchcraft trials, arising out of all of this, then somebody's not telling the truth. And so that's really part of what he's trying to do there. Okay, so we're still talking about Goodman Brown this week, in this week's lesson, but we're looking at it from a different perspective, okay? We want to talk about symbolism in fiction. So, symbol means using things to represent something else, to show something other than what they really are. Okay, so for instance, a football helmet with a buffalo on the side isn't the Buffalo Bills. It is a symbol of the Buffalo Bills. Or a crucifix hanging on the wall is not Christ. It is a symbol of Christ crucified, okay? And, the little Santa Claus dolls that everybody has is not Santa Claus. It's only a symbol of Santa Claus. In our lives, we use symbols for a lot of things. We use things to stand for, So we may wear a Buffalo Sabres cap. Does that mean we're a Buffalo Sabre? No, it means that this symbol on this cap is part of what we think about and part of what we believe in. We are a fan of that. So it is a symbol. It stands for, what our thought processes are. That's what symbolism is all about in literature. Symbolism uses terms that stand for other things, okay? So how does this relate to Goodman Brown? Goodman Brown that story is filled with symbolism. You might even start with the names in that story. I don't want to be too blatant and tell you what they are, but you might start with the names in that story, okay? Certainly there's symbolism with the names of the primary characters in that story, a big part of it, okay? Secondly, think about the ribbons in Faith's hair. Faith has pink ribbons in her hair. Now, white is a color that signifies purity, and red is a color that signifies sensuousness, and it also signifies evil. Faith doesn't have white ribbons, and she doesn't have red ribbons. She has pink ribbons. Pink is a mixture of red and white. So think about what those ribbons in her hair might be standing for. Why Hawthorne might have said that Faith has pink ribbons in her hair instead of red or black or white. Why did he choose pink? Okay, there's a lot of symbolism there. Goodman Brown meets this character in the forest. Who is this character? Now, most of you identified him, but what does he symbolize? I mean, besides the fact that he is a real being, there's no doubt about that. He is a real being. But what does he symbolize, and what does that do to Goodman Brown then? Okay? And that character that he meets in the forest is carrying a staff that gets thrown on the ground at one point. And when it gets thrown on the ground, Goodman Brown sees it as something else, something other than just a staff. What is it that he sees it as, and what does that symbolize? Okay. Oh, look, cool. There's a boat going by over my shoulder here. So we still do have some water activity going on. Okay. Well, what else? Other symbols in there. I mean, it's so full of it. Even the witch's Sabbath itself, what does that symbolize? I mean, all of this fire going on, okay? What does that stand for? I mean, this story is overflowing. The journey into the forest at night. Is that telling us something? Okay? So this week, again, we're talking about young Goodman Brown, but we're delving into the whole concept of Hawthorne's use of symbols in this story, and in a sense, what symbolism in general in literature is all about. Okay? Questions, give me a buzz. Your essays were terrific. I enjoyed them. Oh my goodness, they were so well done. I challenged you. I've never given this essay before. You guys exceeded my expectations by a long shot. You did terrific on it. So have a good week. Questions, you know where to get me, and we'll talk again soon.